Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 5:30 News on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Jeanelle Slade with the latest additions to the COVID-19 count impact Yellowstone County on 2 local campuses. County health authorities keep adding to the state's total active cases today, including 1 at MSU Billings and another at a local nursing and rehabilitation center. Now, those cases, part of the nearly 24 announced earlier today from state health authorities, but those numbers are growing by the hour, including 2 new confirmations in Bighorn County late this afternoon. Now, the total active cases tonight is at 173. Treasure County has reported its first 2 cases, and we are told both individuals are now in quarantine. 17 people are hospitalized tonight as Montanans complete more than 75,000 tests. So far, 20 Montana counties have reported 0 cases. Also tonight, confirmation a local nursing home resident has tested positive for COVID-19. That person is a resident at Aventera Billings, and we are told is in stable condition at a hospital. Michael Spidell, Regional Director of Operations at Aventera, says in a news release that he is not aware of any other residents or staff testing positive for COVID-19, but that resident has recently been admitted to Aventera after receiving treatment at another healthcare facility. Meanwhile, Governor Steve Bullock says starting tomorrow he will issue a directive allowing assisted living and nursing facilities to allow visitors under strict guidelines. And MSU Billings sending notice today of a positive case on its campus. The press release does not state whether the person is a student, staff member, or employee, but does say that the last time the patient was on campus was Friday, June 19th in the PE building. No other information has been released. Well, Governor Steve Bullock says there is no doubt that the cases of COVID-19 are spiking since the state moved into phase 2 of its reopening plan on June 1st. Still, Bullock says Montana has the lowest number of cases per capita in the continental U.S. and is asking Montanans to continue to do their part to keep it that way. At a news conference this afternoon, state epidemiologists shared some of the patterns that are being seen across the state. Those include clusters that have been observed in both Custer and Bighorn counties. They say the evidence has shown that it is especially important to social distance if you are in groups, and they advise wearing a mask.
We're not asking folks to wear a mask at all times. It makes no sense to do so when you're fishing with your family or when you're driving in your car alone, but do so at the grocery store, the pharmacy, grabbing a coffee, going into the gas station. That 15 minutes of inconvenience can make all the difference between one case turning into a dozen or more.
Now, Bullock says that community testing in Bighorn County showed about 35% of people who tested positive showed no symptoms, confirming that contact tracing is critical. Meanwhile, Wyoming surpassed 1,000 total confirmed cases today as health officials report another 24 positives this afternoon. That brings the confirmed total to 1,016 with 266 probable cases. Total deaths in the Cowboy State remain at 20. Well, Billings voters should now have a ballot for the elementary school election coming up on July 7th. Voters will decide on a levy worth $1.6 million. Now, that money would help pay for operational costs in the elementary schools like heat and lights. Billings School Superintendent Greg Upham says today the district isn't asking for the money because of overspending. The process of passing a levy is included in the state's funding formula for schools. The state ponies up 80% of the money based on student enrollment. The district has already cut 40 full-time employees from the elementary schools ahead of the vote.
This levy won't bring everyone back. It just gets us pretty close to being even. So we're going to have to continually dig out of this and look to restructure the funding formula. What does that look like? And so that's the short game is to pass the levy. The long game is to evaluate where we are.
Now, the deadline to place your ballot in the mail for it to be counted is a week from today. And a reminder, Billings kids are scheduled to head back to the classroom on August 24th. Well, we have more details tonight on the latest fatal crash out of Bighorn County. It happened just after 1 o'clock yesterday afternoon. A 32-year-old hardened woman was traveling eastbound on Highway 91 when she left the roadway for unknown reasons. Montana Highway Patrol says the Jeep Commander tipped on its wheels and rolled multiple times, ejecting the woman before it landed on top of her. The driver was pronounced dead on scene. She was not wearing a seatbelt. This marks the 79th death on Montana highways so far this year. Well, a former Billings banker accused of fraud crimes related to loans that were made to the developer of a huge Billings mansion pleads guilty and brings his trial to a quick end. 46-year-old Stephen Kasher admitted to bank fraud and to money laundering in federal court today. The former Rocky Mountain Bank loan officer approved loans to Larry Price Jr. and also made large private high-interest loans on the side to Price without telling the bank. Price, who you might remember, faked his own abduction and is now awaiting sentencing on a number of federal charges, including wire fraud and money laundering. Kasher faces a maximum 30 years in prison, a $1 million fine, and 5 years of supervised release. And Kasher is set to be sentenced on November 5th. Well, even during the COVID-19 pandemic, scammers are hard at work trying to get your personal information. Tonight, MTN's Cody Boyer reports.
Like any other disaster, there are those out there that are going to try and take advantage of the situation.
It's a scam that shares something with many others, preying on those who might be in their most desperate time of need. Sergeant Travis Munter and the rest of the Bozeman City Police say they've seen an uptick in dark clicks.
People have been applying for unemployment benefits in other people's names, trying to get additional benefits sent to them.
And by not having to do much more than fish out with links to your email.
I'll get an email from whether it's Amazon or PayPal or whatever, trying to verify information.
Now, Sergeant Munter says these red flags could come in the form of emails directly to your email inbox, in the form of coming from the U.S. Department of Labor and Industry. But the Better Business Bureau says the numbers don't lie, especially when you're looking at the riskiest scams of 2018 and 2019, also coming from employment scams, with job seekers losing a median income of $1,000.
The hope is that you're going to click on the link to see what order and try and cancel it, and in the process they gain information.
The BBB also says to stay vigilant in other ways. Do background research, be suspicious of on-the-spot job offers, and do not cash checks received from a potential scammer. They are most likely fake.
Just ignore those. Log into your account. Don't click on links that are sent to you in an email.
Munter says while most cases are outside of Bozeman jurisdiction, still call police if you suspect you've become a victim.
These things change over time. I can guarantee that the next one is already starting to happen already.
In Bozeman, Cody Boyer, MTN News.
Thanks so much, Cody. Now, Bozeman police also say you can always visit sites like identitytheft.gov to help recover from scams like this. Well, a woman is injured by a grizzly bear while hiking near Old Faithful at Yellowstone National Park. The woman from Missouri was hiking alone in the Fairy Falls Trail area Monday when she encountered two bears. One of the bears knocked her down and scratched her thigh. Now, the fall also caused minor injuries on her face. Park officials say this appears to be a case of a mother grizzly bear protecting her young. It's the first case of a bear injuring a park visitor so far this season.